Line with us is Andrew Behar. He is the CEO of As You Sow, a member of the UN Sustainable Stock Exchange Green Finance Advisory Group, and the author of the Shareholders Action Guide, Unleash Your Hidden Powers to Hold Corporations Accountable. The website is asyousow.org, and Andrew's Twitter handle is both at As You Sow and Andrew Behar, or Behar, B-E-H-A-R. Andrew, welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So tell us about shareholder activism in a green way in this modern world, and how do people? Well, let's start there. Tell us about As You Sow.
So As You Sow has been around since 1992, and we focus on corporate accountability. We are shareholders, and we represent shareholders, and we talk to corporations about a range of issues, mostly relating to risk that corporations have around climate change, environmental health, human rights, slavery and supply chain, ocean plastics. So a range of environmental, social, and governance issues. And we open a dialogue with a company and talk to them about how they can reduce their risks and improve their brand.
Cool. I understand that there is a company that you are specifically trying to influence right now, that being Facebook. Tell me about that.
So we feel as Facebook shareholders that the company's really lost its way, that right now there's 45 million images of child pornography and torture, that they've been affecting
literally at this moment, you mean?
Literally at this moment.
On Facebook?
And on Facebook, it's the biggest center for child pornography in the world, I believe.
Whoa.
And they have influenced, basically put people's lives in danger. For instance, in Myanmar, there's people are putting out posts that people think are true, and then they go out in the streets and commit murders. They've basically, their advertising in terms of their political ads allow lies, which is something that CBS, NBC, all the broadcast networks are not allowed to do. So somehow Facebook is above the law, and they've really lost their way as a company. I don't think this was the intention of the company. And Facebook employees have written an open letter to management saying, we don't want this to happen. And shareholders are not happy. And also people who have Facebook accounts are starting to turn them off. So as shareholders, we think this is a material risk to the company.
But doesn't Mark Zuckerberg either own a majority of the shares or a large enough minority of the shares that he has effective, absolute tyrannical control over the company?
Mark Zuckerberg has a 10-to-1 voting preference. So last year, for instance, we co-filed with Trillium Asset Management on a resolution to separate the board chair from the CEO. It got officially a 20% vote, but that was 60% of independent voters. So yes, he does have authoritarian control over the company. But even so, and again, employees, shareholders, and users are all advising him to take a look at where the company's gone. And our resolution is titled Reboot Facebook, to actually have a fresh start and to really implement what the mission of the company is, which we believe has been just gone down the wrong path, and they need to do a real reboot to recover.
Yeah, it's a hashtag Reboot Facebook. Is this shareholder resolution, is there a shareholder meeting coming up that you're specifically focused on, or is this an ongoing campaign?
There's an annual meeting that's happening basically 6 months from the filing date of a resolution. You have an annual meeting. Mm-hmm. So it's in probably in the end of June kind of thing.
Okay, so this is coming up next summer.
Right.
So you're trying to organize people right now to be activists in this. And do you have to own at least one share of Facebook stock in order to participate?
You have to own $2,000 worth of Facebook stock for a year.
I see. So that's going to be outside of the ETFs. That's going to be a fairly limited number of people, isn't it? Or is Facebook stock widely distributed? I don't own pretty much any stock right now.
Facebook's largest stockholders are Blackrock, Vanguard, State Street, all the big indexing asset owners, and we hope that they will vote for this resolution and support us, as well as supporting those other resolutions at Facebook as well. Again, the governance one, splitting the board chair from the CEO.
Yeah.
But we would like all Facebook shareholders to vote for this resolution. We think that it's a real clear call for Facebook to shift their trajectory.
So, yeah, I think it was in the Financial Times a couple of days ago. There was a fascinating article about how if you hold stock through one of these big companies, where people put their 401ks and whatnot, that you're actually voting, and very often you're voting against your own interest. And they looked at the voting behaviors and found that Blackrock, for example, more often voted with management. Vanguard more often voted with shareholders in shareholder resolutions challenging management. But they're basically voting your shares. Am I recalling that correctly?
It's the New York Times on Sunday.
Okay,
and it was called "Want a Bigger Say, Move Your Money." BlackRock and Vanguard both vote 93% against shareholders. They basically support CEO pay.
It was Fidelity, I think, that was doing well, right?
Well, there's a few fund managers that actually do better than others, but in general, the big ones. So BlackRock is $7 trillion, Vanguard's about the same. State Street is in there. So we're talking like $20 trillion of assets. Basically vote with management. So they're voting for the worst climate deniers and climate polluters. They're voting for ocean plastics. And we even had an incident where we put a resolution forward that was to try to fight slavery and supply chain, and BlackRock voted against us.
Wow.
They decided that they wanted to support the company's belief that they didn't have to disclose or do anything about slavery in their supply chain.
Right, an issue that our last guest was talking about. So what, if somebody has their money with, one of these big funds, or if somebody doesn't own any stock, I mean, what can people do who are not specifically Facebook shareholders with your Reboot Facebook campaign and presumably any other campaign for corporate accountability?
So there's 91 million people with $8.5 trillion of assets in 401k plans, which means they're invested in mutual funds and ETFs. And As You Sow actually built a whole suite of tools called Invest Your Values. If you go to AsYouSow, ASYOUSOW.org, right at the top you'll see Invest Your Values. If you click there, you can then look at fossil fuels, you can look at gender inequality, you can look at weapons, you can look at deforestation. And you just type in the name of the name of the ticker of your mutual fund, and it will tell you exactly. You'll get a report card. You'll get a D in deforestation and an F on military weapons. You'll get a B in climate change. And then you can click and you can actually see every company that you hold. Mm-hmm. So we believe in people investing aligned with their values. And most people don't even understand that they're in a mutual fund or that a mutual fund is a basket of stocks and that it may not be aligned with what they believe in. So we believe, number one, figure out what you own. Now, once you figure out what you own within your 401k plan, you can move. Let's say you're invested in a fund that's getting an F on deforestation. So they've got companies that are burning down the Amazon, the Indonesian rainforest. And there might be another fund that gets a B or an A. You could just take you 2 seconds to shift your money over to that other fund. Now, you've just made a major statement, and the capital has left that fund and went to the other. The other thing you can do is we're going to be adding an action button. You could click, and it will check that you own those shares, and then you can send a message to the fund manager saying, I don't like that you own companies that are burning down the Amazon or Facebook, and I also want you to vote your proxies in a certain way. So vote for this resolution. So there's a lot you can do to become a really strongly empowered shareholder.